Hey, it's Randy. A few things before I start the video. I recorded, I think, 4 videos for last week. I ended up only posting one because the other 3 I recorded at night. And this office doesn't light very well. I only have this one lamp in the background, and when I played them back, they were really dark, really fuzzy, and I just decided it was better to re-record them, which I'm doing one of them today. So, sorry about that. Also, before I begin, there's a couple things I wanted to announce. First off, Clarion Harp, who is one of my closest friends and the bassist for Aubrey. She's also a voice actress for Funimation and works over a lot of the DVD production there. She is going to be a guest at a convention in Arkansas called DrakeCon. And I can't remember where that's located at, but I'll put a link to the side if you're looking at this through the YouTube channel, or it'll be on the actual video blog entry page on the site. She will be a guest at DrakeCon February 5th and 6th. And the same weekend, I will be at Evansville, Indiana for EvilCon. I'll be a vendor, and that's February 6th and 7th. The weekend after, I'll be back here in Dallas for a convention called QandA, and that's the 12th through the 14th. Again, I'll just be a vendor at those. So what I had wanted to talk about, and this is kind of a common question, especially at conventions, is how did Kestrel end up in my comic? For those who don't know, the character Kestrel, who is one of Aubrey's employees at Nerdrotica, the redhead with green eyes, the only character in my comic who has colored eyes, she was at one point in time the main character of a webcomic called Queen of Wands. And sorry, I'm just turning my phone off because I just realized it's on, and I can just see one of my friends being assholes and calling me right now. Well, yeah. She was the lead of Queen of Wands, which is drawn by my friend Irie. And we had done a series of crossovers. The first one was actually a series called Choo Choo Better Go Down the Hole, which started on September 16th, 2002. And then there were 2 more crossovers starting in mid to late 2004. And we had talked about a lot of things, and when Irie had decided she was going to end Queen of Wands, it was going to be in February of 2005. And SP got to take part a little bit in the end, in that Kestrel was looking for the next place to be after she left Colorado, and she actually ended up coming to visit the cast of SomethingPositive. My character Branwyn was trying to help her get a job. It was kind of neat to have a very tiny role in the last chapter of some other comic. And I had toyed with at one point buying Kestrel from Irie. And Irie said, "You have so many characters. Do you really want to buy this?" And it'd be kind of silly anyway. She was right, and she gave me permission to use Kestrel for the occasional cameo. Like maybe she'd have lunch with Davin, just kind of keep characters abreast of what's going on with her. Well, around I want to say July or August, Irie and I were talking. And sorry, I'm also looking at my notes here. We were talking about stuff, and I kind of thought, I vocalized how I thought it'd be really funny if right after Queen of Wands ends, I did a comic where the next day you see a woman who's dressed just like Kestrel was approaching some of the characters, and a car plows her down. And Irie, just like the bride of Satan she is, cackled at this and said, "I pretty much had to do this now." So I did. And that was the February 24th, 2005 strip. Davin and PG are on the street, and they're talking, and you see from behind a woman dressed, it looks like Kestrel approaching them. Car plows through. They never notice. And we ran with this as a joke for a long time. Irie wouldn't address people about it. I would feign ignorance at conventions or an email. We didn't address it. Period. And a lot of people didn't handle this well. we both had we shared a lot of audience, but I had some readers who were just idiots towards her, and they'd be really pissy if we did a crossover. And she had, readers who just completely loathed me. Watch, so I almost dropped a few words there. Just hated my guts and how, fine reasons to complain, vice versa. I mean, it was just the way it is sometimes. And I got a lot of angry emails. One guy threatened to sue me on her behalf, and that was really kind of hilarious. Someone, you just get these weird emails. And I was fine with it, but eventually it kind of wore on Irie's nerves. And I want to say around start of November 2005, she called me and said, I can't take this anymore. I'm tired of people freaking out at me. Would you do something to say that Kestrel's okay? And I said, no, absolutely not. This is a funny joke. I think we should keep it going for years and years to come. And she's like, aren't you getting tired of the emails? Like, no, I just delete them. I don't really care anymore. And she did the whole, do it for me, we're friends. I was like, oh. And so she basically gave Kestrel to me in that conversation, said that I could make her minor characters, because I said, well, if I'm going to do this, I want to do a storyline, or put her in the comic somehow. And how we worked it out is that Kestrel, up until the end of Queen of Wands, is her character, and after Queen of Wands, she's mine. And I hadn't expected that, so I got a cast member out of it. And what I did was I worked up a storyline that said she was plowed down by the red car. In fact, when you first see her in that November strip, she has a bandage on her head. She has just come out of coma. She lost the job she moved to New England for because she vanished. No one knew what happened to her. And she's now working for Aubrey. In fact, she was one of the last patients Davin ever billed on Medicaid. And it's neat. And it's kind of funny. I still get the occasional complaint. Not as bad as it used to be. Although I did have a woman walk up to me at a convention telling me that I had ruined the entire experience of Queen of Wands for her. And she was just convinced Irie was as disappointed as she was. At which point I pulled my phone out and started calling Irie. And I told the woman, well, hold on, I'll have her on the phone a second, and you can relay your viewpoint to her. And the woman walked off quickly. Irie wanted me to go grab the girl and make her talk to him. But, and I have kind of mixed feelings on it. I mean, I can never really put Kestrel to the forefront, because she's a character I never planned for, and I feel like she's had her story, and it was a good story. It was a very good story, but there are times when she's perfect to have there. She's snarky, but she's not as mean as the rest of the cast. She's probably more reactionary. She has to have someone feed her, whereas some of the cast members of SP can just kind of go nuts. But it's fun, and the best part is, of course, when we go to convention, especially Comic-Con, we will have people who walk up and have sketchbooks, and we'll both draw Kestrel. I've defaced many Kestrels Irie has drawn, where it's her version, and I'll put my version next to it saying, what is this crap? Or one guy at Comic-Con 2008 walked up, and he was a very large piece of paper, and we both drew Kestrel on each side and Mortal Kombat poses, and we put like the energy bar above them and the victories. So that's how I ended up with a character in my comic, and because of it, every time I do a crossover with someone else now, I get emails of, so are you going to keep this character too? Especially during the Girls with Slingshots crossover. And no, QandA will never join SB. And honestly, I don't want to become the drop-off point for everyone's extra characters.